My father's name was John Kinsella. It's an Irish name. He was born in North Dakota in 1896 and never saw a big city until he came back from France in 1918. He settled in Chicago, where he quickly learned to live and die with the White Sox. Died a little when they lost the 1919 World Series. Died a lot the following summer when 8 members of the team were accused of throwing that series. He played in the minors for a year or two, but nothing ever came of it. Moved to Brooklyn in '35, married Mom in '38, and was already an old man working at the Naval Yards when I was born in 1952. My name's Ray Kinsella. Mom died when I was 3, and I suppose Dad did the best he could. Instead of Mother Goose, I was put to bed at night to stories of Babe Ruth, Lou Gehrig, and the great shoeless Joe Jackson. Dad was a Yankees fan then, so of course I rooted for Brooklyn. But in '58, the Dodgers moved away, so we had to find other things to fight about. We did. And when it came time to go to college, I picked the farthest one from home I could find.
You know, I'm a writer, so I'm all for the imagination. And I think that the problem with the imagination as it is posited in this film is that the magic is there in order to stop history and not in order to impulse us towards history. What they are imagining in the film and what the filmmakers are asking you to imagine is a perfect, ideal form of history where you will not have to change it, where you will be satisfied with the way in which history has been constructed, in which you will take care on the imaginary playing fields of the dreams of all the problems of history, which means basically that you can be absolutely passive. You don't have to go out from the field of dreams into the real world to change anything, because it's being changed for you. Now that's bogus magic. That's not real magic. The real magic is when a lot of people come together and they feel activated to really change their circumstances and the real problems that have come to them from the past. When in fact the way in which they dialogue with the past, with the dead, is to change the present, not to fall in love with what is gone and cannot be brought back ever.
Officially, my major was English, but really it was the '60s. I marched, I smoked some grass, I tried to like sitar music, and I met Annie.
Well, that was supposedly the '60s, but we're in the '90s, and this is a film, Field of Dreams, for the '90s. Of course, it does look back, and Kevin Costner, or Ray Kinsella, has got a problem, really 2 problems. One is that he rebelled against society as a child of the '60s, and now he's got to figure out how to reintegrate, how to reincorporate himself into the society. And also, he broke with his father. He had a rupture with the tradition of America, with the working tradition of America, with his dad, who's dead, and difficult to bring him back to life.
After graduation, we moved to the Midwest and stayed with her family as long as we could. Almost a full afternoon. Annie and I got married in June of '74. Dad died that fall. A few years later, Karen was born. She smelled weird, but we loved her anyway. Then Annie got the crazy idea that she could talk me into buying a farm. I'm 36 years old, I love my family, I love baseball, and I'm about to become a farmer.
Sold. But what are they buying? The land. Seems to be a foolhardy thing to do, and this time when there's such a crisis in land and agriculture, but they are fulfilling the dreams of the '60s of going back to the land and producing things and growing crops so people can eat. But maybe they're buying into something else. Let's see what happens.
But until I heard the voice, I'd never done a crazy thing in my whole life.
All right, that's it. Huh? Who are you, huh? What do you want from me?
If you build it, he will come. If you build
Found under his barn. Sixth, third highest in history.
Why'd they call him?
Well, when he was still in the minors, he'd bought a new pair of spikes, and he was stuck.
He's gonna lose his farm.
Damn fool.
Well, that's a crazy thing to do, right? You know, plow up the grass, plow up the fields. But he's also keeping some sort of a dream alive. You know, this has become a society where people don't dream, don't do crazy things anymore. So we can connect with that. And who knows, there may be some money in it.
We used up all our savings on that field, Ray.
Daddy.
Just a minute, Karen. So what are you saying? You can't keep the field?
Makes it real hard to keep the farm.
There's a man out there on your lawn.
Put up some coffee. Why don't you go on outside? Put up some coffee. Why don't you go on outside?
Ray! Dinner!
Well, this is where the sexual revolution of the 60s ended up, right? With this bat. I mean, that's where it ended up. You've got the men on the baseball field. Julius Joe has come back from the dead. He's going to play games with Kevin Costner, and Annie is making the coffee, dinner. If she weren't there, none of these dreams could be marketed. None of this field could be possible.
Hey! Is this heaven? No. It's Iowa.
We're keeping this field.
You bet your ass we are.
You bet your ass they are. But there's a problem.
Lose your farm, pal. Come on, it's too big.
You're going to lose your farm, pal. This is just a typical ploy and strategy of all American cinema. You've got the good guys and the bad guys. In this case, you've got the bad owners, the guys who, you know, control, for instance, the banks, and you've got the good owners, the people who control the fields in this case. And the idea is that there are people who are going to corrupt and exploit America, and that there are people who are going to take care of America. They're both owners. What is not said, of course, is that Kevin Costner and his people are going to end up exploiting you. Let's see how that happens.
sorry, what? I didn't understand. What?
Ease is pain.
Ease is pain. What the hell does that mean? Ease is pain.
Well, there's a lot of pain in America. There's the pain of racial segregation. There's the pain of a nation divided by the 60s and by Vietnam. There's the pain of fathers and sons that can't agree. There's the pain of women left out. There's a lot of pain in America, a lot of exploitation in America. And how is Kevin Costner going to ease that pain? Well, it's really not that difficult, at least the film thinks not. It's going to be done right here with a baseball field. Baseball is going to ease that pain. All the political pain of America is going to be resolved in this imaginary field.
Come on, honey, wash up. We got the PTA meeting after dinner. We're talking about banning books again. Really subversive books like The Wizard of Oz, Diary of Anne Frank.
The so-called novels of Terrence Mann.
Who's for Eva Braun here? Who wants to burn books? Who wants to spit on the Constitution of the United States of America? Anybody? All right. Now, who's for the Bill of Rights? Who thinks freedom is a pretty darn good thing? Come on, let's see those hands. Who thinks that we have to stand up to the kind of censorship that they had under Stalin? All right, there you go, America. I love you. I'm proud of you. I mean it.
Annie,
what?
We gotta go.
We gotta go. This is great.
I figured it out. I figured it out.
Right, you got greater one.
I figured it out.
God, it was just like the 60s again.
I just figured it out.
Step aside, you Nazi.
So the 60s can live again. They're back again. But of course, they're back again in a very non-controversial way, where everybody in the audience can identify with the two 60s activists. I mean, what Annie is defending is the Constitution of the United States. She's defending the freedom of speech. She's against censorship, against Stalinism, basically. That's what she's against, and of course all Americans would agree with that. So that's what the 60s has come down to. Notice that she doesn't ask for a vote on things that deeply divide Americans today, such as abortion, or nuclear energy, or what happens to the farmland, or what policies you have in foreign countries. No, those things are left outside. Just like all the issues that deeply divided this country in the 60s are left outside. In other words, the 60s was an incredible rupture in the consciousness of this country, in which a great part of this nation, especially the younger people, but those who have been excluded, demanded their place in history, demanded a radical change in the way in which America thought itself, attacked the basic myths of the United States. That has all been reduced now to a series of lonely gestures, gestures that don't have any real activism, any real substance behind them. And that's why, of course, Annie can be so happy about them. And that's why now the protagonist can go off to find Terrence Mann, who is the voice of the 60s.
Hi, I'm Ray Kinsella.
Mr. Mann, if I could just have 1 minute, please. Look, I can't tell you the secret of life, and I don't have any answers for you. I don't give interviews, and I'm no longer a public figure. I just want to be left alone. So piss off. Hey! I've come 1,500 miles to see you at the risk of losing my home and alienating my wife. All I'm asking is 1 minute. I don't do clauses anymore. This isn't a clause. I don't need money or an endorsement. You're from the 60s. Well, yeah, actually. Oh, hey! Back to the 60s. Wait a second. No place for you here in the future. Get back while you still can. It changed. You know this? Yes, I suppose I have. How about this? Peace, love, dope. Now get the hell out of here!
I'm going to take these glasses off because I didn't wear them in the 60s. When this sign meant more than just sort of some caricature of peace, love, and dope. Terrence Mann is a double caricature. First, he's a caricature of what the 60s was. And then, he's a caricature of what happened to the people of the 60s, that they grew disappointed. They felt there was nothing more that could be done. Of course, a lot of those agendas are still absolutely valid. A lot of the problems that the 60s were trying to address are still around in this country. Peace, love, dope, etc. Always look for what's being omitted. Look for what's being withheld. Look for the things that perturb the audience. Because if those things were in the film, it wouldn't be that easy to integration, this black radical, into the contemporary American Field of Dreams establishment. And of course, the man is disappointed. The man is embittered. But because he has been constructed in such a way that the real things that disturb you about him, that disturbed America about this man 10 or 30 years ago, because those things are taken out of there, he can then go off with his friend, Huck and Jim once again, across America, searching for the solution to all his problems.
We're going to Minnesota to find Moonlight Graham.
Doc Graham is dead. He died in 1972.
Dr. Graham? My name's Ray Kinsella. I'm from Iowa. Are you Moonlight Graham?
No one's called me Moonlight Graham in 50 years.
Why? Because that's Burt Lancaster, right? Wrong. That's you. And if you don't believe that Burt Lancaster is standing in for you, for the audience, just listen to James Earl Jones.
You did?
Did for these people. If he'd gotten a hit, he might have stayed in baseball. I don't know. Well, your wife called before.
If he'd gotten a hit, Doc Graham would have stayed in baseball, but that would have been pretty difficult and pretty dangerous. I mean, if everybody who dreams of being a star ends up being a star, if everybody who wants to have a dream plows up their cornfield, if everybody leaves their profession of doctor to become a baseball player, everybody's Kevin Costner, well, society's not going to work. So there must be some people up there on the screen and some people who participate, you people, us, just by watching. When James Earl Jones and Kevin Costner go off to the farm, back to the farm, they pick up a young boy named Moonlight Graham, another way in which a young form of old America is coming back to life. One more father figure made young, resurrected, to play on the Field of Dreams.
Hi, I'm Archie Graham.
Anyway, when I was 17, I packed my things, said something awful, and left. Son of a bitch died before I could take it back. Before I could tell him, you know.
I can really identify with this man. He has, like we all have, something to repent of. Something that he did to somebody in the past. And in this case, to somebody who's dead. You can't take back what you've said and done to the dead. Or can you? Well, Kevin Costner is going to find the typical American way of rewriting the past, bringing his father back from the past, bringing back his hero from the past, and making sure that you do it the American way, sanforizing, cleaning the past, making sure that the past does not continue to make trouble for you now, that allows you to settle into the present and the future. Get rid of it, really. Amnesia, instant amnesia, the American way. Meanwhile, back at the farm,
Annie, you got no choice in the matter.
Look, I'm not selling you my
Ray,
home.
you have no money. You have a stack of bills to choke a pig, and come fall, you got no crop to sell. But I do have a deal to offer you that's going to allow you to stay on the land.
Daddy, you don't have to sell the farm.
Why would anybody pay money to come here?
To watch the game. It will be just like when they were little kids, a long time ago. And they'll watch the game, remember what it was like.
What the hell is she talking about?
People will come.
People will come, Ray. They'll come to Iowa for reasons they can't even fathom. They'll turn up your driveway, not knowing for sure why they're doing it. They'll arrive at your door as innocent as children, longing for the past. Of course, we won't mind if you look around, you'll say. It's only $20 per person. They'll pass over the money without even thinking about it. For it is money they have, and peace they like.
You're broke, Ray. You sell now or you lose everything.
The one constant through all the years, Ray, has been baseball. America has rolled by like an army of steamrollers. It's been erased like a blackboard, rebuilt and erased again. But baseball has marked the time. This field, this game, is a part of our past, Ray. It reminds us of all that once was good, and it could be again. Oh, people will come, Ray. People will most definitely come.
James Earl Jones says that people will come without even thinking of it. They're going to fork over $20. But I'm urging you, you people, many of whom have forked over a lot of money to watch a lot of films like this one, to think about it. Think about what he's really saying. He's saying, because you can take that dream and you can market it. You can line up millions of people willing to pay $20 or $2.50 or $5.50 just so they can participate, so they can identify again with the deepest sense of what they really are, of what America is. And in that sense, he's speaking about baseball. He says, America has been like a blackboard, erased and erased over and over again. He's sort of the blackboard, which is being erased over and over again. And what remains is a spectacle. What remains is something that speaks about how America once was, the deepest past, and what America once again can be. Therefore, what the whole film has been talking about is getting rid of all the things that need to be erased out of America and that can then be put back into a film, marketed, and comfort all you people out there. The mythical America has been recreated, and the reason why it can be a success is because people are willing to pay $20 a piece without even thinking of it. Think of it.
Can't do it, pal.
And you turn your daughter into a damn space
Get your hands off her.
I'm trying to help you, damn it!
Is she all right?
I don't know.
Is she breathing?
Should I get the car?
I'm gonna call emergency.
Just wait.
What do we got here?
She fell.
This child's choking to death.
So, Doc Graham has been brought back. Back from the past, back from the dead, back from middle America, outside history, in order to save all our children to keep on doing the things that ordinary people do all the time. He's had his hit. He's in the history books. Now he must sit back and enjoy the spectacle, be part of the spectacle only by watching it. That's the fate of most of us, unless we're on the field of dreams, unless we're in the movies themselves, and that's the way it is. But he has been preparing for another sort of ordinary man, the dock worker, somebody from middle America, ordinary America, the traditional values of America, which now Kevin Costner must relate to. And of course, that is the father. This was really all the time about bringing back the father from the past. This ordinary guy, finding out that his values and the values of this rebellious son really were not that much in collision. They weren't clashing, but that they could find themselves on the field of dreams, in the spectacle. And the idea is, of course, that as long as you've omitted everything from this dream, in other words, as long as you've taken all the nightmare elements out, as long, for instance, you can get rid of James Earl Jones, he's a black guy, I mean, get rid of him very quickly, send him off to the other side of heaven to report, as long as you can keep on omitting these things, you can put the women up on the porch with the daughters, then finally you can have the culminating scene that we've been waiting for, that began in the very beginning, which is the 90s. How do you bring back the dead father and the future son? How do you have them playing catch together on the field of dreams, which is, of course, the movie we're watching.
Hey, Dad? You want to have a catch?
I'd like that.
So this is how it all ends. You have Dad and Junior playing catch on the field. You have the past and the future. You have two versions of America, traditional America and rebellious America, coming together on this white patch in the middle of the blackness. But the blackness is not really the cornfields, because as you can see, winding like a serpent towards it is the whole of the United States, all the spectators of America coming to watch the TV screen, coming to watch this patch of white screen. In other words, the field of dreams is simultaneously the movie screen. And on that screen, what they are watching is the reconciliation of everything that has divided the United States. It is the resolution of all the conflicts that have made this country such a troublesome place in the last 30 to 40 to 50, in fact, to 60 years. The whole of the United States history has been reconciled. First, of course, it's been omitted, caricaturized, and then it's been reconciled into this film of dreams. If you look, you can see you have the problem with the imagination as it is posited in this film is that the magic is there in order to stop history and not in order to impulse us towards history. What the filmmakers are asking you to imagine is a perfect, ideal form of history where you will not have to change it, where you will be satisfied with the way in which history has been constructed, which means basically that you can be absolutely passive. You don't have to go out from the field of dreams into the real world to change anything, because it's being changed for you. Now that's bogus magic. The real magic is when a lot of people come together and they feel activated to really change their circumstances, when in fact the way in which they dialogue with the past, with the dead, is to change the present.